Welcome to part 4 of all the dungeon guides. Today we'll be covering the mage class. There are two types of mages, RCM, right click mage, and Lcm, left click mage. We will start with RCM. For your first armor, I suggest getting Wise Dragon armor. I say suggest because you could use any armor set until you're Catacombs level 2. Once you reach Catacombs level 2, you want to switch to 2 pieces of Rotten armor, Heavy Chestplate, and Dark Goggles. Once you reach Catacombs level 9, you want to swap the Heavy Chestplate, Rotten Boots, and Leggings for Zombie Soldier armor. You will still want to use the Dark Goggles. When you reach Catacombs level 16, you want to switch the helmet out for the Shadow Goggles. Once you reach Catacombs level 18, you want to switch your full set of armor into Wise Dragon armor. But this time, you want to dungeonize the set. It is your choice to keep the full set of the Wise Dragon armor or to switch the helmet out with the Shadow Goggles. You will get more damage if you wear the Shadow Goggles, but the Shadow Goggles give you no HP, so it's easier for you to die. Once you get your floor 6 completion, you can switch some pieces out for Necromancer Lord armor. Do this if you're dying a lot. If you do switch, also switch your helmet for Wither Goggles. When you get your floor 7 completion, you want to switch to 3/4 Storm armor with Wither Goggles. For the enchants and reforges on your armor, you want to get Growth, Protection, Rejuvenate, 10 Hot Potato Books, 5 Fuming Potato Books, Mana Vampire 5 at least, 2 Sapphire Gemstones on each piece, and Recombobulator. For your ultimate enchantment, you want to use Wisdom, and for the reforge, you want to get 3/4 Necronic with 1 piece Loving. If you can't afford that, then you use the Wise Reforge found on the anvil. For the equipment, when you just start, I suggest getting the full Ender equipment set, or you could use the Arachne equipment pieces. When you reach Combat 24, you want to get the Implosion Belt, Molten Necklace, Glowstone Gauntlet, and the Gas Cloak. For the reforges on your equipment, just use Brilliant. You could find the reforge on the anvil. For your pets, you could either get a dog or a cat. For your first pet, you want to use a sheep pet. If you're dying a lot in the boss fight, you can switch your pet out for a blue whale or baby yeti, but the blue whale is better. If you could one-shot all the mobs in the floor that you're playing, you could use a black cat for speed. You could also use a Sub-Zero Wisp pet. It turns out the Sub-Zero Wisp pet is just a little bit expensive. For your pet items, you could use a Spooky Cupcake for extra speed, Textbook for more intelligence, Minos Relic for more ability damage if you use it on a sheep pet, and Shelmet for no knockback. Before I continue, please subscribe because people tell me my videos are a lot better for how many subscribers I have. Now, let's move on to weapons. For your first weapon, you want to use an Aspect of the Dragons. Its right click ability is quite good for how cheap the sword is. When you reach Catacombs level 2, you want to get a Dreadlord sword. When you right click, it shoots Wither Skulls so that you can shoot from far away and not get damaged. When you get your floor 1 completion, you want to switch to a Bonzo staff. The right click ability shoots balloons, which do splash damage, which is good for clearing when you just start. You could also use a Frozen Scythe, which shoots cones of ice that travel a lot faster than the Bonzo staff. When you get your floor 4 completion, you want to get a Spirit Scepter, which shoots homing bats which deal a lot more damage than all the weapons I've told so far. You could also get a Glacial Scythe instead, but the Glacial Scythe is a lot more expensive. The next 2 weapons are optional. The Midas Staff, which shoots a wave of gold blocks dealing massive damage, and the Yeti Sword, which shoots chunks of terrain from the ground into enemies. For your last weapon, you want to get the Hyperion. The Hyperion is quite useless until you add all 3 scrolls: Implosion, Wither Shield, and Shadow Warp. For the reforges on your weapon, you want to use Heroic. For your ultimate enchantment, you want to make sure you have ultimate wise. And if you're super rich and have too much intelligence when you have a Hyperion, you can get Chimera. Lcm, left click mage, is when you use your attack button to shoot a beam. For Lcm, you want to get a high intelligence level, strength, and critical damage. There really isn't much progression here because you only want to do this if you're Cata 40 and higher. For your setup, you want to get a full set of Storm. You can switch the helmet for Warden helmet. And for your weapon, if you don't have Master Mode 7 completion yet, you want to use Giant Sword. But when you have the completion, you want to switch to Dark Claymore. For the reforgers on your armor, you want to use Ancient. And for the reforgers on your weapon, you want to use Fabled or Withered. And for your ultimate enchantment, you could use Wisdom or Legion. This video took way too long, so if you could subscribe, that'd be very helpful, and I'll be very happy that you subscribed. That's all I have for this video, so bye bye.